Sir, I am going to need you to show me your boarding pass again because there has clearly been some kind of mistake. Tariq looks up from his phone. His face shows nothing. No anger or surprise. This is the third time she has asked. The third time in 4 minutes. Outside the oval windows, the gray morning light of Teterboro Airport stretches across the tarmac. This aircraft is chartered for a private client, Patricia says. A very important client, and I need to verify that you belong here. Tariq holds up his phone. The charter confirmation fills the screen. His name, the date, the tail number of this exact aircraft. Patricia does not move. She glances back at the galley. A smirk crosses her face. Tariq Terrence, he says. Seat 1A charter number 742. Departing Teterboro at 8:15. Arriving Miami Executive at 11:40. Derek and Simone watch from the galley. Derek has his arms folded. Simone covers her mouth to hide a laugh. Maybe he won a contest, Derek whispers. Or he is someone's driver who got confused. Tariq hears every word. The acoustics in a Gulfstream G650 carry sound like a concert hall. Every whisper travels. Look, Patricia says, her voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. I don't know how you got past security. Maybe someone made an error, but this jet costs $40,000 to charter. One way. He says nothing. He has been in situations like this before, more times than he can count. The pattern is always the same. Her hand sweeps across the cabin, the cream leather, the mahogany trim, the crystal glasses in the holders. 42,000, Tariq says quietly. Fuel surcharge went up last month. Patricia freezes, just for a moment. Then she recovers. The cockpit door opens. Captain Richard Hayes steps into the cabin. 56 years of flying have carved deep lines around his eyes. 23 years with the Navy. 15 years in private aviation. Oh, so you Googled the prices, she says. That is cute, really. But knowing what something costs doesn't mean you can afford it. He takes in the scene. Patricia standing over a passenger. Derek and Simone giggling in the galley. Something is wrong here. Captain, Patricia says. We have a situation. This gentleman claims he chartered the aircraft, but I am having trouble verifying his credentials. Hayes looks at Tariq. He looks at the hoodie, the jeans, the simple watch on his wrist. Sir, Hayes says, may I see some identification? Tariq meets his gaze. He waits. Tariq reaches into his pocket. His movements are slow, deliberate. He has learned to move slowly in moments like this. He pulls out his wallet, hands over his driver's license. Standard New York issue. Nothing special. Hayes studies it. Tariq Terrence. Address in Brooklyn. Born June 3, 1986. Hayes hands the license back. The charter was booked through Atlantic Executive Services, he says. Under the name Terrence Holdings, LLC. Brooklyn, Patricia mutters. Figures. Terrence Holdings, Patricia repeats. And you expect us to believe this man owns a company that can afford a Gulfstream charter? Maybe he sells mixed tapes, Derek calls from the galley, or sneakers. Simone laughs. She does not even try to hide it anymore. Hayes clears his throat. He looks uncomfortable. He has been flying long enough to recognize when a situation is getting out of hand. Tariq says nothing. His expression remains fixed stone. But something shifts behind his eyes. Patricia, he says quietly. That is enough. But Patricia does not stop. She has worked private aviation for 12 years. She has served senators, CEOs, A-list celebrities. She knows what money looks like. Sir, she says, I am going to have to ask you to leave the aircraft. We can sort this out on the ground with the charter company. The cabin feels smaller now. The tension fills every inch of polished mahogany and Italian leather. Tariq looks at her. For the first time, he speaks more than a few words. Leave the aircraft, he repeats. The aircraft I chartered, with my money under my company name. I am calling security, Patricia says. This has gone on long enough. Hold on, Hayes says. Let me make a call first. Let me verify with Atlantic Executive. Patricia ignores him. She pulls out her phone. Her thumb hovers over the keypad. He reaches into his other pocket, pulls out a black leather case, flips it open. Before you do that, Tariq says calmly, you might want to see this. The gold badge catches the cabin light. Federal Aviation Administration, Principal Operations Inspector. Captain Hayes goes white. The blood drains from his face so fast that Tariq thinks he might actually faint. Patricia's smirk freezes. Her mouth opens, closes, opens again. Tariq Terrence, he says. FASA Flight Standards District Office. I am here conducting a surprise inspection of your charter operations safety procedures and crew conduct protocols. The Gulfstream G650 suddenly feels very quiet. The only sound is the auxiliary power unit humming outside. In the galley, Derek's joke about mixtapes dies in his throat. His face turns the color of old paper. Simone is not laughing anymore. Her hand grips the galley counter for support. Hayes straightens his uniform jacket. His hands are shaking. 23 years in the Navy. 15 years in private aviation. He has never felt this level of dread. Tariq slides the badge back into his pocket. His face reveals nothing. Inspector Terrence. Hayes manages. His voice cracks on the name. I apologize. There has been a terrible misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, Tariq repeats. He lets the word hang in the air. Let the narrator say this much. What happens over the next 4 hours on this aircraft, and in the days that follow, will change the lives of every person in this cabin. Careers will end. Truths will surface. And a system that has operated in shadow for years will be dragged into the light. But to understand how this moment came to be, we need to go back 3 weeks to a phone call that started everything. Tariq sits at his kitchen table. The apartment is small, clean A2 bedroom in a building his grandmother bought in 1973. December 26, 2024, Brooklyn, New York. The snow falls thick on Flatbush Avenue. Stacks of files cover the surface. Incident reports, safety violations, passenger complaints. 3 years of documentation. His eyes burn from reading. The clock on the wall shows 11:47 p.m. He has been at this for 6 hours. The complaint files tell a story. The same story, over and over. Different names, different flights, same pattern. Tariq has read 147 complaints. 147 stories of passengers treated like criminals, like imposters, like they did not belong. A black businessman forced off a charter in Aspen. An Indian surgeon questioned for an hour in Houston. A Latino family relocated to seats in the back of a half-empty jet in Scottsdale. His phone buzzes. The screen shows a Washington, D.C. area code. Terrence, he answers. Tariq, it is Chen. Director William Chen, head of AA Civil Rights Enforcement, 61 years old, 32 years with the agency. Tariq sits up. The exhaustion leaves his body. Which operation, he asks. We got the green light, Chen says. Congressional Oversight Committee approved the investigation this morning. You have full authority. Atlantic Executive Services, Chen says. Teterboro, they've had 37 complaints in 3 years. More than any other charter operation on the East Coast. Tariq pulls a file from the stack. Atlantic Executive Services. He knows this file by heart. The pattern is textbook, Tariq says. Minority passengers challenged at boarding, asked for extra identification, questioned about their ability to pay, relocated to different seats. 4 were removed from aircraft entirely. Standard security protocols, Tariq repeats, that only seem to apply to certain passengers. And every time, Chen says, the company claims it was a misunderstanding, paperwork issues, computer errors, standard security protocols. His eyes drift to the photograph on his wall. His grandmother, Alma Terrence, the woman who raised him after his parents died. She flew commercial once in 1962, Atlanta to Chicago. She never told him the details. She never had to. What is the approach? Tariq asks. You want me to go undercover, Tariq says. Charter a flight. See how they treat me before they know who I am. We need direct evidence, Chen says. Documented on video. Your word against theirs won't hold up. The charter industry has lawyers. Good ones. The FAA will cover the charter cost $42,000. We'll book it through a shell company. Terrence Holdings, LLC. No connection to the agency. Tariq stands. He walks to the window. The snow has covered the street below in white. When? He asks. January 15th, Chen says. 3 weeks. That gives us time to set up the recording equipment, body camera, hidden audio, everything by the book. There is a pause on the line. Chen understands the weight of that date. January 15th, Tariq repeats. MLK weekend. 147 complaints, Tariq says. 147 people who were made to feel like they didn't belong, like they had no right to be where they were. This ends, he says. January 15th. I'll send you the briefing documents tomorrow, Chen says. Tariq, be careful. These people have connections, money. They won't go down without a fight. The line goes dead. Tariq sets down his phone. He looks at the stacks of files. 147 stories. 147 people waiting for justice. Neither will I, Tariq says. The snow continues to fall outside. In 3 weeks, everything will change. 4 days later, December 30th, 2024, Teterboro Airport. Robert Harrington walks through his hangar like a king surveying his kingdom. 63 years old, founder and CEO of Atlantic Executive Services. Now he owns 12 aircraft, employs 47 people. His client list reads like the Fortune 500. His silver hair is perfect. His suit costs more than most people earn in a month. He built this company from nothing. 1 aircraft, 1 client 30 years ago. He approaches Patricia. She stands near the G650. Her tablet shows the catering inventory for an upcoming flight. The Henderson flight went well? He asks. Perfect, Mr. Harrington, Patricia says. Senator Henderson was very pleased. He has already booked another charter for February. I saw the booking for January 15th, he says. Terrence Holdings Miami run. Harrington nods. He likes Patricia. She understands the business. She knows which passengers matter and which ones do not. Patricia checks her tablet. New client. Payment cleared yesterday, single passenger. Terrence Holdings, Harrington repeats. Never heard of them. Run a background check. Already done, Patricia says. LC registered in Delaware, standard setup. No public information on the ownership. Could be legitimate, Patricia says. New money, tech startup, crypto. Harrington's eyes narrow. Delaware LLC, anonymous ownership, booking a $42,000 charter. Or it could be someone trying to test us, Harrington says. You remember last year, that reporter from the Times? Patricia's jaw tightens. The reporter he had tried to book a charter, asked too many questions. They had handled it. January 15th, Harrington says. MLK weekend. A lot of people traveling. A lot of opportunities for the wrong element to slip through. Use your judgment, Harrington says over his shoulder. You know what our clients expect. A certain standard. A certain level of comfort. Patricia nods. She understands exactly what he means. I always do, Mr. Harrington, she says. January 10th, 2020. 5 days before the flight. Tariq sits across from Angela Davis. No relation to the activist. She gets that question a lot. Atlantic Executive Services, Tariq says. I need everything you have. Angela is an attorney, civil rights specialist. 14 years with the Mbebele CP Legal Defense Fund. She has seen everything. Angela opens the file. Her expression darkens as she reads. We've had our eye on them for years, Angela says. 7 of our clients have filed complaints. All dismissed. Lack of evidence. Lack of evidence, Tariq repeats. How convenient. Tariq pulls out a small black device, the size of a button. He sets it on the table. Their lawyers are good, Angela says. Very good. And the charter industry has powerful friends in Washington. Every time we get close, someone makes a phone call. Body camera, Tariq says. 4 hours of continuous recording, audio and video, everything admissible in federal court. Angela picks it up, turns it over in her hand. You are really doing this, she says. Someone has to, Tariq says. So can I, Tariq says. Angela sets down the device. Tariq, these people are dangerous, not violent dangerous, but they have resources, connections, they can end careers. Angela studies him. She has known Tariq for 8 years. They met at a civil rights conference in Atlanta. He had been different then, angrier. What happened to you, she asks? The old Tariq would have stormed in there, made a scene, demanded justice. Tariq looks down at his coffee. The question lands somewhere deep. I was wearing a suit. I had a federal ID. I was traveling on official business. He pauses. None of it mattered. To them, I was just another black man who didn't look like he belonged. 2014, he says. I was flying commercial Atlanta to D.C. They pulled me out of the boarding line, took me to a back room. 3 hours of questioning. Angela says, nothing. She does not need to. She has her own stories. I learned something that day, Tariq says. Anger is useful, but patience is power. You want to change the system. You have to understand it. Get inside it. Document everything. He picks up the recording device, holds it between his fingers. This, he says, is how we win. Tariq stands, extends his hand. Thank you, Angela, for everything. Angela nods slowly. January 15th, she says. I'll be standing by. Whatever you get, send it to me immediately. We'll have a legal response ready within hours. Don't thank me yet, she says. Thank me when it is over. Tariq walks out into the cold 5 days. In 5 days, everything changes. January 13th, 2020. 2 days before the flight. The camera is in your collar, James says. 1mm lens, virtually invisible. 4 hours of recording time. James Wong, FEA technical specialist, 31 years old. The best in the business when it comes to covert recording equipment. James steps back, examines his work. The audio pickup is in the zipper pull, picks up everything within 30 feet. Tariq moves his arms, turns his body. The hoodie looks exactly like any other hoodie. Press this twice to activate, James says, handing him a small device disguised as a car key fob. Once to deactivate. Red light means recording. You won't be able to see it, but I'll monitor remotely. Satellite uplink, James says. We'll have real-time footage at headquarters. The moment anything happens, we see it. What is the range? Tariq asks. Tariq puts the remote in his pocket. What if they find it? James grins. They won't. This equipment is military grade. Same stuff they use in embassy operations. Unless they're running an X-ray scanner, you are invisible. Tariq looks at himself in the mirror, gray hoodie, worn jeans. He looks exactly like what they expect to see. January 14th, 2020. 5 the night before. That is the point. Tariq sits in the dark. The apartment is quiet. In his hands, he holds the photograph. His grandmother, Alma Terrence. She died 3 years ago, 91 years old. She never saw him make inspector. I am scared, Grandma, he says quietly. Not of them, of failing, of getting this far and coming up empty. She had cleaned houses for 40 years. Rich people, important people. She had seen how they looked at her, how they talked to her, how they made assumptions about who she was. The photograph says nothing, but Tariq remembers her voice. Remember who you are. Remember where you come from, and never let anyone make you feel small. I won't let them win, Tariq says. Not this time. He stands, walks to the window. Brooklyn stretches out before him. Millions of lives, millions of stories. Tomorrow, he adds one more chapter to his own. Tariq steps out of the taxi. The cold hits his face. The private terminal rises before him, glass and steel. A monument to money. January 15th, 2020. 7:15 a.m., Teterboro Airport. His hand finds the remote in his pocket. 2 clicks. The recording begins. He walks toward the entrance. His breath forms clouds in the cold air. His heart beats steady. He has done this 100 times before. Different airports, different situations. The lobby is marble and glass. A young woman sits at the reception desk. She looks up as he enters. Her smile flickers. Tariq Terrence, he says. Charter 7742815 815 departure. Can I help you? She asks. The question carries weight. Can I help you? Or should I call security? The receptionist checks her computer. Her eyebrows rise. Terrence Holdings, she says. The Gulfstream to Miami. She looks at him again. The hoodie, the jeans, the worn sneakers. I'll need to see identification, she says. Tariq hands over his license. She studies it, compares the photo to his face. Tariq waits. He notices other passengers moving through the terminal. Suits, designer bags, Rolex watches. They glance at him, look away. One moment, please, she says. She picks up a phone, speaks quietly. Her eyes stay on Tariq the entire time. He knows what they see. He dressed this way on purpose. Your aircraft is ready, the receptionist says. Her smile is back. Professional, empty. Through the doors and to the right. Someone will meet you on the tarmac. Thank you, Tariq says. Patricia stands at the top of the stairs. She watches him approach. Her eyes narrow. The Gulfstream G650 waits on the tarmac. $65 million of engineering, capable of flying non-stop from New York to Tokyo. And so it begins. Tariq climbs the stairs. Each step deliberate, each step recorded. Patricia does not move from the doorway. She stands like a gate. Her body language says everything her words have not yet spoken. Patricia looks him over. Head to toe, the hoodie, the jeans, the sneakers that have seen better days. Boarding pass, she says. No greeting, no welcome aboard. Good morning, Tariq says. Beautiful aircraft. Tariq shows his phone. The confirmation fills the screen. Patricia barely looks at it. I'll need to verify this with the charter company, she says. Wait here. She disappears into the cabin. Tariq stands on the top step. The January wind cuts through his hoodie. He waits. Derek peers toward the door. His smirk spreads. Seriously? That is our $40,000 client? Inside the galley, Patricia finds Derek. You see him? She asks. Terrence Holdings, Patricia says. Never heard of it, probably some kind of scam. Simone joins them. What is going on? Our passenger, Derek says. Looks like he got lost on his way to the bus station. Go look, Patricia says. Simone stifles a laugh. You are kidding. Simone peeks around the corner. Her eyes widen. She pulls back. Oh my God, she whispers. Where did he even get the money? That is what I intend to find out, Patricia says. Patricia returns to the door. Tariq has not moved. His hands are in his pockets, his breath clouds in the air. Tariq nods, steps into the cabin. The warmth hits him immediately. The smell of leather and fresh coffee. Sir, Patricia says, there seems to be some confusion with your booking. I am going to need you to step inside while we sort this out. The cabin is a cathedral of wealth. Cream leather seats, mahogany trim, crystal glassware, a space designed to make passengers feel like royalty. Beautiful aircraft, Tariq says again. This time he means it differently. Sit there, Patricia says. She points to seat 1A. Don't touch anything. Derek leans in the galley doorway. He watches Tariq like a security guard watching a shoplifter. Tariq sits. The leather embraces him. He settles back, waits. Simone sets down a tray of coffee. She does not offer Tariq a cup. Patricia stands over him, tablet in hand, sir. I am going to need to see your identification and your boarding pass again. Tariq does not argue. He pulls out his phone, shows the confirmation, hands over his license. Born and raised, Tariq says. Patricia studies the license, tilts it, examines the hologram, compares the photo. Brooklyn, she mutters. Patricia hands back the license. She does not look satisfied. The cockpit door opens. Captain Richard Hayes steps out. His silver hair is perfectly combed. His uniform is pressed. 23 years Navy. 15 years private aviation. He reads the room in 3 seconds. Patricia hovering. Derek watching. A passenger who does not match the profile. Thank you, Captain, Tariq says. Looking forward to the flight. Good morning, sir, Hayes says. His voice is neutral. I am Captain Hayes. Welcome aboard. Patricia steps close to Hayes. She lowers her voice, but not low enough. Captain, we need to verify this passenger's credentials. Something isn't right. Hayes glances at Tariq. At the hoodie, the jeans. He hesitates. The charter was confirmed, Hayes says carefully. Payment cleared. Tariq hears every word. The accusation hangs in the air. Stolen credit card. Identity theft. Words chosen carefully. Words designed to justify what comes next. Stolen credit card, Patricia says. Identity theft. It happens all the time. We need to protect the company. Hayes turns to Tariq. Sir, may I see some identification? This is the second time. Tariq hands it over again. The same license, the same photo, the same name. Hayes examines it. Tariq Terrence. Terrence Holdings, LLC. Sounds legit, Derek calls from the galley. The sarcasm drips from every syllable. Terrence Holdings. Patricia interrupts. Delaware, LLC. Anonymous ownership. No business history. No website. No social media presence. The charter was booked, Tariq says. The payment cleared. The confirmation was sent. What exactly is the problem? Patricia steps closer. Her professional mask slips. The problem, she says, is that you don't look like someone who can afford a $42,000 charter. There it is. The words are spoken. The truth behind every glance, every question, every demand for identification. Hayes clears his throat. Patricia, that is enough. Tariq does not flinch. He has heard these words before, different voices, same message, but Patricia does not stop. She is committed now. Look at this aircraft, she says. Look at this cabin, handcrafted Italian leather, custom woodwork, crystal from Austria. This is not a city bus. This is not public transportation. Our clients are senators, CEOs, Hollywood executives, people who actually belong here. Patricia straightens. I am saying that in 12 years of private aviation, I have never seen a client who looks like you. And I don't belong here, Tariq says. Is that what you are saying? The words land like a slap. Hayes's face shows alarm. Derek and Simone exchange glances in the galley. Derek laughs. Maybe he is a rapper, he says. They all dress like that, don't they? Or an athlete, Simone adds. Basketball player who lost his way to the team charter. I am calling security, Patricia says. She pulls out her phone. This has gone on long enough. Tariq remains still. Every word, every laugh, every insult, all of it recorded. Wait, Hayes says. Let me verify with Atlantic Executive first. If there has been an error, we handle it ourselves. Patricia pauses. Her thumb hovers over the screen. 5 minutes? Hayes says. Give me 5 minutes? Hayes disappears into the cockpit. The cabin falls silent. Tariq sits. Patricia watches. Derek and Simone whisper. Patricia lowers her phone, but she does not take her eyes off Tariq. 12 years, Tariq says quietly. 12 years. And you've never seen a client who looks like me. Patricia stiffens. That is right. I believe you, Tariq says. I believe that is exactly the problem. Tariq meets her eyes. It means that in 12 years, you've made a lot of people feel exactly the way you are trying to make me feel right now. Patricia's brow furrows. What is that supposed to mean? Patricia's face reddens. I don't know what you are implying, but I treat all passengers with respect. That is right, Derek calls. We've never had a complaint, not once. Tariq turns to look at Derek. Never had a complaint that made it past your lawyers. You mean, who are you? Patricia demands. She steps closer. Who sent you here? Derek's smirk falters. Something shifts in the cabin. I am a customer, Tariq says. A paying customer who chartered this aircraft with his own money through legal channels. I want you off this aircraft, Patricia says. Now. No, Tariq says. Sir, she says, her voice cold. I am authorized to remove any passenger who poses a safety risk. If you refuse to leave voluntarily, I will have you escorted off by security. The word stops her cold. Number passengers do not say no to her. Safety risk? Tariq repeats. What exactly about me is unsafe? Patricia searches for words. Your behavior. Your refusal to cooperate. Your attitude. I've sat quietly. I've shown my identification twice. I've answered every question. What behavior exactly are you referring to? The cockpit door opens. Hayes emerges. His face is pale. Patricia has no answer. The cabin falls silent. He walks toward them. His steps are slower than before. He holds his phone like it weighs 100 pounds. Captain, Patricia asks. What did they say? Hayes swallows. The charter is legitimate. Payment confirmed. Terrence Holdings is a verified client. The charter company also mentions something else, Hayes says. His eyes drop. Patricia shakes her head. That is impossible. Look at him. What? Patricia asks. Hayes looks at Tariq. Something new in his eyes, fear. They said we should check his other credentials, the ones he hasn't shown us yet. Tariq reaches into his pocket. The movement is slow, deliberate. Every eye in the cabin follows his hand. Federal Aviation Administration. Principal Operations Inspector. Tariq Terrence. He pulls out the black leather case, flips it open. Hayes goes white. His hand reaches for the seat beside him. For a moment, it looks like he might collapse. Patricia's face transforms. The confidence, the certainty, the superiority, all of it vanishes. In the galley, Derek grips the counter. His face matches the color of the white napkins beside him. The cabin is silent. The only sound is the auxiliary power unit humming outside, and the sound of careers crumbling. Simone covers her mouth. Her eyes are wide. Her hand trembles. Tariq Terrence, he says. FASA Flight Standards District Office Principal Operations Inspector. I am conducting an official inspection of Atlantic Executive Services safety procedures and crew conduct protocols. Patricia opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again. Inspector, she manages. There has been a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, Tariq repeats. He slides the badge back into his pocket. Patricia shrinks. I was just following protocols. You asked me to leave this aircraft 3 times. You accused me of identity theft, credit card fraud. You said I don't look like someone who belongs here. No, Tariq says. You were following assumptions, prejudices, biases, none of which appear in any official FAA safety protocol I am aware of. Hayes steps forward. Inspector Terrence, please, I apologize for my crew. This isn't representative of how we operate. Tariq turns to him. Isn't it? Because I've read 147 complaint files that suggest otherwise. Tariq stands. He moves to the center of the cabin. The crew instinctively backs away. Hayes's face crumbles. 147. The number hits him like a physical blow. Let me explain what happens now, Tariq says. This inspection is being recorded. Audio and video. Everything that has been said in the last 30 minutes is documented. Derek makes a sound, something between a gasp and a moan. The FAA will review this footage. So will the Department of Transportation. And if evidence of discrimination is found, it will be forwarded to the Department of Justice for possible civil rights violations. Your job, Tariq says, is to ensure passenger safety and comfort, not to profile passengers based on their appearance, not to question their right to be here based on their clothing, not to assume criminality based on the color of their skin. Patricia's face contorts. You can't do this. We were just doing our jobs. The words settle over the cabin like a weight. Simone's eyes fill with tears. I have a family, she whispers. I can't lose this job. Tariq looks at her. The people you've treated this way have families too. Careers, lives, every person who was pulled aside, questioned, humiliated, made to feel like a criminal for the crime of existing in a space you decided they didn't belong. What do you want? Hayes asks. His voice is quiet, defeated. The cabin is silent. No one speaks. No one moves. Tariq pulls a folded paper from his pocket, opens it. This is an official inspection notice. Under FAA Regulation 14 CFR Part 119.53, I am placing this aircraft under administrative hold pending review of crew conduct and company policies. Hayes takes the paper. His hands shake. One more thing, he says. Robert Harrington, your CEO. I'll be meeting with him personally today. Tariq moves toward the door. He pauses at the threshold. Patricia makes a sound, a small cry. Harrington. The man who told her to use her judgment. The man who taught her which passengers mattered. Tariq steps out into the cold. The morning sun has risen higher now. It glints off the white fuselage. He walks toward the terminal. His work here is not done. It is just beginning. His phone rings. He answers with the confidence of a man who has never been told no. Harrington. 11:15 a.m. Atlantic Executive Services Corporate Headquarters. Robert Harrington sits behind a desk made from reclaimed wood from a 19th century British sailing vessel. Hayes's voice crackles through, panicked. Broken. The words tumble out. Harrington's face changes. The color drains, his grip on the phone tightens. What do you mean, FAA inspector? He says. What do you mean, recorded everything? He stands, his chair rolls back and hits the credenza behind him. He paces. His hand runs through his perfect silver hair. It is no longer perfect. You let her say what? His voice rises. You stood there and let her accuse a federal inspector of credit card fraud. Where is he now? Harrington demands. He stops at the window. The airport spreads below him, his kingdom, his empire. Hayes's voice answers. Harrington's face goes a shade paler. He is coming here now. He hangs up, presses the intercom. Sandra, get me legal now, and clear my schedule for the rest of the day. 12:30 p.m. conference room. B. Tariq sits at one end of a long mahogany table. He sinks into his chair. 30 years. 30 years of building this company, and now this. At the other end sits Harrington, flanked by two attorneys, both in suits that cost more than most cars. David Morrison. Senior partner at Morrison & Wade. 52 years old. Aviation law specialist. 200 Senate confirmations. Never lost a case. Sarah Chen, junior partner, 39, civil litigation expert, 140 trial victories. Inspector Terrence, Harrington begins. I want to apologize for any inconvenience you experienced this morning. Tariq sits alone, no attorney, no backup, just the recording device in his collar, and the truth. Inconvenience, Tariq says. Morrison raises his hand. Before we proceed, I want to note that any statements made in this meeting are without prejudice and cannot be used in legal proceedings. That is not how FAA inspections work, Tariq says. This is an official federal investigation. Everything said here is part of the official record, Inspector Harrington says. I've been in this industry for 30 years. I built this company from nothing. We have an exemplary safety record. 0 accidents, 0 incidents. Morrison's expression flickers. He glances at Chen. She writes something on her notepad. Tariq pulls a file from his bag, places it on the table. 0 accidents, he agrees. 140. 7 discrimination complaints. The number lands. Harrington's face tightens. Chen looks at the file, then at Harrington. Something passes between them. Tariq opens the file, spreads documents across the table. Let me read some of these, he says. Complaints are filed all the time, Harrington says. Disgruntled passengers' misunderstandings. None of those complaints resulted in action. June 15, 2020. 2. Dr. Priya Sharma, cardiovascular surgeon, chief of surgery at Massachusetts General, asked to prove she could afford the charter, questioned about her citizenship. Flight delayed 45 minutes while crew verified her credentials. Harrington's jaw tightens. Morrison puts a hand on his arm. Tariq pulls another document. March 8, 2020. 3 James and Linda Washington, retired school teachers, saved for 2 years for their 50th anniversary trip, relocated from their assigned seats to the back of the aircraft when other passengers complained about sitting near them. October 19, 2020. 3 Tariq Williams, CEO of a tech company valued at $200 million, pulled off a charter in Scottsdale. Security called, police arrived. All because your crew didn't believe a black man in casual clothes could be worth more than the aircraft. Chen writes faster. Her pen scratches across the paper. The room is silent. The accusations pile up like stones. Those are allegations, Harrington says. Unproven allegations. Tariq reaches into his pocket, pulls out a small USB drive. Harrington stares at the drive. His face ages 10 years in 10 seconds. This morning's footage, he says. 4 hours. Audio and video, your crew on record, making statements that confirm a pattern of discrimination. Morrison leans in, whispers something. Harrington shakes his head. What do you want? Harrington demands. He stands, his chair scrapes against the floor. What will make this go away? Tariq remains seated. This isn't a negotiation, Mr. Harrington. This is an investigation. Morrison winces. Robert, stop. Harrington slams his hand on the table. Everything is a negotiation. Name your price. Consulting fee, advisory position, whatever you want. Tariq's expression hardens. Did you just offer a federal inspector a bribe on record? The room freezes. Morrison closes his eyes. Chen stops writing. Harrington realizes too late. The words are out. The words are recorded. Harrington sinks into his chair. The fight leaves his body. Tariq stands slowly, deliberately. Robert Harrington, you are now under investigation for attempted bribery of a federal official. In addition to the discrimination investigation already underway, Tariq gathers his documents, returns them to his bag. You'll be hearing from the Department of Justice within 72 hours. I recommend you find better lawyers. He walks to the door, pauses with his hand on the handle. 147 people, Tariq says. 147 families. 147 lives affected by your company's policies. Their stories deserve to be told. Tariq opens the door, steps out. Harrington cannot meet his eyes. The hallway is lined with employees. Word has spread. They watch him pass, some with fear, some with something else. Hope, a young black woman, administrative assistant. Her name tag reads Michelle. She catches Tariq's eye, nods slightly. He nods back, keeps walking. He pulls out his phone, dials. The January air hits him as he steps outside. Cold, clean. He breathes deep. Chen, the voice answers. It is done, Tariq says. We got everything. and Harrington added a bribery charge as a bonus. Chen exhales. Terrence, you did it. 3 years of investigation. It is finally happening. Around him, the airport continues. Planes take off. Planes land. The world keeps moving. Tariq looks up at the sky, clear blue. A plane passes overhead. It is not over yet, he says. This is just the beginning. But somewhere in a conference room behind him, a man who thought he was untouchable has just learned that no one is above accountability. And on the tarmac, a $65 million aircraft sits grounded. A notice on the door. FAA hold pending investigation. The first domino has fallen. The rest will follow. Tariq sits in a windowless room. The walls are government beige. The table is scratched metal. Around him sit 5 federal prosecutors. January 18, 2020. 5 Washington, D.C. The Department of Justice building rises against a gray winter sky. Catherine Wells, Deputy Assistant Attorney General, Civil Rights Division, 54 years old, 30 years prosecuting discrimination cases. Inspector Terrence, she says. This footage is remarkable. We've never had evidence this comprehensive. On the screen behind her, the footage is paused. Patricia's face frozen mid-accusation. The words captured forever. James Rodriguez, Senior Trial Attorney 41, Specialist in Corporate Misconduct. Walk us through the company structure, Rodriguez says. How deep does this go? The pattern was clear, Tariq says. They weren't hiding it. They didn't think they needed to. Tariq pulls out a chart, lays it on the table. Robert Harrington founded the company in 1995. He is the sole owner. Every policy, every procedure, every hiring decision goes through him. Wells traces the lines with her finger, and the crew, Patricia Kendall, Derek Morrison, Simone Foster. The prosecutors exchange glances, the scope of the case expanding in their minds. All hired by Harrington personally, Tariq says. All trained under his protocols. The discrimination wasn't a bug, it was a feature. Amanda Chen, Civil Rights Division Attorney. 36, Housing and Transportation Discrimination Cases. We've subpoenaed their internal communications, she says. The emails are damning. She holds up a printout. Highlighted sections visible. Wells reads aloud. From Robert Harrington to Patricia Kendall. Date March 3, 2020. 3 subject line. New booking protocols. Tariq's jaw tightens. Use your judgment, the words Patricia had used. Remember, our clients expect a certain environment. Use your judgment on which passengers fit our brand. Better to apologize later than compromise our reputation. Fit our brand, Rodriguez repeats. That is code. He knew exactly what he was telling them. Wells stands, moves to the screen, hits play. Patricia's voice fills the room. I've never seen a client who looks like you. The words echo off the bare walls. What charges are we looking at? Tariq asks. Wells pauses the video. That statement alone establishes discriminatory intent, combined with the 147 complaints and the internal emails. Wells returns to her seat, pulls a document toward her. Violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Violation of the Air Carrier Access Act pattern and practice discrimination. Conspiracy to deprive citizens of civil rights. And for Harrington personally, bribery of a federal official, obstruction of justice. We're looking at federal charges that carry up to 20 years. And the victims? Tariq asks. The 147 people who filed complaints. 20 years, the number hangs in the air. Chen pulls out another file. We're contacting all of them. They'll have the opportunity to join a class action civil suit. Estimated damages could exceed $50 million. $50 million. Enough to send a message, enough to force change. January 20th, 2020. 5 Newark, New Jersey. Angela Davis's law office. Her desk is covered in files. Each one a name, each one a story. Angela hangs up the phone. A smile spreads across her face. On the muted television, a news banner scrolls. Private jet company under federal investigation for discrimination. She dials another number. Waits. Dr. Sharma, this is Angela Davis with an NAACP Legal Defense Fund. I have news about your complaint. The Department of Justice is pressing charges, Angela says, and we're filing a class action civil suit. Your story will be told. Dr. Priya Sharma, cardiovascular surgeon, chief of surgery at Massachusetts General, the woman who was questioned about her citizenship, who was made to prove she could afford a flight she had already paid for. Silence on the line, then a breath, then words spoken through tears. I thought no one believed me. I thought no one cared. We believed you? Angela says. We always believed you. And now the whole world will hear your story. January 22nd, 2020. 5 Chicago, Illinois. Linda reads over his shoulder. 72 retired English teacher. They met in 1970. 3 married in 1970. 5 James Washington holds the letter. His hands tremble. 72 years old. Retired teacher. 40 years teaching math to inner-city kids. The letter is from the Department of Justice. Class action lawsuit. Victim notification. Our 50th anniversary, James says quietly. All we wanted was one special trip, one memory. They moved us to the back, Linda says. Like we were cargo. Like we didn't belong with the other passengers. James pulls her close. They sit in silence, the letter in his hands. 50 years of marriage, one terrible flight, and now, maybe justice. I taught children for 40 years, she says. I taught them that hard work matters, that education opens doors. And then we saved for 2 years. We followed every rule, and they still treated us like criminals. January 25th, 2020. 5 to Teterboro Airport. The hangar is quiet. 3 aircraft sit grounded. Maintenance crews stand idle. The FAA investigation has frozen all operations. Patricia sits alone in the break room. Her uniform is wrinkled. Her eyes are red. She has not slept in days. Her name is everywhere now. Patricia Kendall, the flight attendant who said those words. The face of discrimination in private aviation. Her phone buzzes. Another news alert. Another story about the investigation. Her attorney called this morning. The Department of Justice wants to depose her. Her testimony against Harrington in exchange for reduced charges. The door opens. Derek walks in. He looks worse than she does. They fired me, he says. He sits across from her. This morning, termination for cause. No severance, no reference. My mom called, Derek says. She saw the news. She asked me if it was true, if I really said those things. Patricia says nothing. What is there to say? Patricia stares at the table. The words she said echo in her mind. Words she cannot take back. Words the whole world has heard. I told her it was taken out of context, Derek says. But it wasn't, was it? Every word. We meant every word. The room is silent. Outside, another aircraft sits grounded. Another career destroyed. Another life changed. We knew, Derek says. We knew what he meant. We knew what we were doing. We just didn't think anyone would ever catch us. Harrington told us to use our judgment, Patricia says. He said our clients expected a certain environment. I thought I was doing my job. Patricia stands, walks to the window. The G650 sits in the hangar, the aircraft where she stood over Tariq Terrence, where she told a federal inspector he did not belong. 12 years, she says to her reflection. 12 years and I never questioned it, not once. January 28th, 2020. 5 Alpine, New Jersey. He has not shaved in 3 days. His bathrobe is the same one he wore yesterday, and the day before. Robert Harrington sits in his home office. The lights are off, the curtains are drawn. Legal documents cover his desk. Subpoenas, court filings, Asset freezes. He stares at a photograph. His first aircraft, a Cessna Citation, 1995. The beginning of everything. He was 41 then, full of ambition, full of certainty that he deserved success. Robert, she says, the lawyers called again. They need you to sign the documents. The door opens. His wife Margaret enters, 60 years old, 35 years of marriage. He does not turn. What does it matter? It is over. Everything I built, gone. Margaret walks to his desk, places papers in front of him. The plea deal, she says, 5 years. Possibility of parole after 3. It is the best they can do. You should have thought about that, Margaret says, before you told your employees to discriminate against paying customers. Harrington turns, his eyes are bloodshot. 5 years. I'll be 68 when I get out. If I get out, Harrington recoils. You knew. You always knew how we operated. You never said anything. I never said anything, Margaret agrees. And I'll have to live with that. But I didn't put it in writing. I didn't create a company policy around it. I didn't offer a bribe to a federal inspector. The distance between them fills the room. All I wanted, he says, was to build something great, something that would last. Harrington reaches for a pen. His hand hovers over the documents. You built something, Margaret says. It just wasn't what you thought it was. February 15th, 2020. 5 Federal Courthouse, Newark, New Jersey. The courtroom is packed. Reporters fill the press section. Cameras wait outside. Harrington stands at the defense table. His suit is expensive. His posture is broken. Judge Eleanor Martinez presides, 67 years old, 30 years on the federal bench, known for fairness, known for long sentences. Catherine Wells stands at the prosecution table. Her voice fills the courtroom. Robert Allen Harrington, Judge Martinez says, you have entered a guilty plea to charges of conspiracy to violate civil rights pattern and practice discrimination and attempted bribery of a federal official. Yes, Your Honor, Harrington whispers. Dr. Sharma watches. Tears stream down her face. Not tears of sadness, tears of release. In the gallery, they sit together. The 147. Dr. Sharma, James and Linda Washington. Tariq Williams, faces of every color, every age, united by what was done to them. James holds Linda's hand. 50 years of marriage, one terrible flight. And now, justice. Tariq sits in the back row. He has testified. He has submitted evidence. Now he watches. In determining this sentence, Judge Martinez says, I have considered the scope and duration of your conduct. For over a decade, your company engaged in systematic discrimination against passengers of color. You created policies designed to exclude. You trained employees to profile. You built a business model on the premise that certain people did not belong in certain spaces. Harrington shrinks. The courtroom is silent. Robert Allen Harrington, I hereby sentence you to 7 years in federal prison. Upon release, you will be barred from the aviation industry for life. Harrington's knees buckle. His attorney catches his arm. Tariq stands. He does not celebrate. This is not a moment for celebration. This is a moment for reflection. In the gallery, quiet celebration, embraces. Tears, years of pain validated. Additionally, Judge Martinez continues, Atlantic Executive Services will pay $53 million in damages to the victims of your discriminatory practices. Your personal assets have been frozen pending distribution. Morrison bows his head. The best attorney in aviation law, his first loss. Marshals approach. Harrington is led away. His expensive shoes click on the courtroom floor. The last steps of freedom. That evening, network news studios across the country. He looks back once, at the faces watching him go. The faces he spent a decade telling did not belong. Tonight, a landmark verdict in what prosecutors are calling the largest discrimination case in aviation history. Footage plays. Harrington's walk of shame, the victims embracing. The judge reading the sentence. Robert Harrington, founder of Atlantic Executive Services, has been sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. His company has been ordered to pay $53 million in damages. Across the country, families gather around televisions. Black families, brown families, Asian families, watching justice delivered. Harrington's mugshot fills the screen. Gray hair disheveled, eyes empty. In Atlanta, an 80-year-old grandmother watches. She remembers different times, different struggles, the same fight. In Brooklyn, Tariq watches alone, his grandmother's photograph beside him, Alma Terrence, the woman who flew commercial once in 1962 Atlanta to Chicago, who never spoke of what happened. March 1st, 2020. 5 Newark, New Jersey. We did it, Grandma, Tariq says. It is not over. It is never really over. But today, we won. Patricia Kendall stands at a podium. Cameras flash. Microphones point at her like weapons. I want to apologize, she reads, her voice trembles. To Inspector Terrence, to Dr. Sharma, to Mr. and Mrs. Washington, to everyone I hurt. The reporters watch. Some skeptical, some waiting for more. I could read this statement and walk away, but that wouldn't be honest, and I've been dishonest enough. Patricia sets aside the paper, looks directly at the cameras. The room shifts. Reporters lean forward. I told myself I was just doing my job, following orders, protecting the company. But the truth is simpler and uglier than that. I looked at people and made judgments based on how they looked, what they wore, the color of their skin. I decided who belonged and who didn't, and I was wrong. Every single time, I was wrong. I don't ask for forgiveness. I haven't earned it, but I ask for the chance to do better, to be part of the solution instead of the problem. Silence fills the room. A reporter raises his hand. Miss Kendall, what about your testimony against Mr. Harrington? Some say you are only apologizing to avoid prison. Patricia nods. That is a fair question. And yes, I cooperated with prosecutors, but I would have testified even without a deal, because what we did was wrong. What he told us to do was wrong, and the only way to make it right is to tell the truth. April 10, 2020. 5 FAA Headquarters, Washington, D.C. FAA Administrator Harold Foster stands at the podium, 64 years old, the first black administrator in the agency's history. A ceremony is in progress. Flags line the walls. Dignitaries fill the seats. Tariq sits in the front row, dress uniform, every medal and commendation displayed. Today, we recognize Inspector Tariq Terrence for exceptional service to the Federal Aviation Administration and to the principle of equal treatment under the law. The audience applauds. Director Chen sits in the second row smiling. Tariq rises, walks to the podium. The applause continues. Through personal courage and professional excellence, Inspector Terrence exposed a pattern of discrimination that had gone unchallenged for over a decade. His actions have led to systemic changes across the private aviation industry. Foster shakes his hand, presents the medal, the FAA Award for Distinguished Service. Tariq turns to the audience. The applause fades. This award doesn't belong to me, Tariq says. It belongs to 147 people who had the courage to file complaints when no one believed them. Eyes glisten in the audience. It belongs to Dr. Sharma, who was questioned about her citizenship after saving lives in the operating room. To James and Linda Washington, who saved for 2 years for a trip and were treated like cargo. To every person who was made to feel like they didn't belong in a space they had every right to occupy. This case is over. Robert Harrington is in prison. Atlantic Executive Services is paying damages. But the fight isn't over. It is never over. Every day, somewhere in this country, someone is being judged by how they look instead of who they are. Someone is being asked to prove they belong. Someone is being made to feel like less than they are. Chen nods. He knows. They all know. Until that day comes, we keep fighting, we keep documenting, we keep telling the truth, because that is how change happens. One story at a time, one case at a time, one person at a time. Our job isn't just to catch the ones who break the law. Our job is to create a world where the law isn't needed, where people treat each other with dignity, where assumptions are replaced with respect. The audience rises. The applause fills the room. Tariq looks at the medal. It is heavy, but not as heavy as the responsibility it represents. October 15th, 2020. 5 Brooklyn, New York. A hand goes up. Jasmine, 16 years old. Mr. Terrence, how did you stay so calm on the plane when they were saying all those things? Tariq stands before a group of young people, 30 faces, black, brown, white, Asian, all watching him. Tariq considers the question. I wasn't calm inside, he admits. Inside, I was angry. I was hurt. Part of me wanted to stand up and tell them exactly who I was and watch their faces fall. The young people lean in. But I had learned something important. Anger is a fire. It can keep you warm or burn your house down. The choice is yours. The world isn't fair. You know that. I know that. But giving up isn't an option, and losing your temper only gives them an excuse to dismiss you. So I chose patience. I chose documentation. I chose to let them show exactly who they were before I showed who I was. Jasmine nods. Another hand, Kevin, 18. Do you think things will really change? Or will there just be another company doing the same thing? Tariq does not sugarcoat it. There will always be people who discriminate. There will always be systems that favor some over others. That is the truth. But there will also always be people willing to fight, to document, to expose, to demand better. The question isn't whether injustice exists. The question is what you are going to do about it. He lets that sink in. Backs straighten, chins lift. Tariq walks among them. Every one of you has the power to change the world. Not by yourself, not overnight, but together over time. By refusing to accept things the way they are, by demanding things become what they should be. He stops beside Jasmine. You asked how I stayed calm. You know what kept me grounded. I thought about my grandmother. I thought about what she went through so I could be here. And I decided that I would honor her by winning, not by fighting. By winning. Later, Tariq walks out into the evening. The sun sets over Brooklyn. His Brooklyn, his grandmother's Brooklyn, the session ends. But the conversation continues. Young people gather around Tariq, questions, stories, dreams. He looks up at the sky. A plane passes overhead, carrying passengers to destinations unknown. He thinks about those passengers, all of them, every color, every background, every story. Somewhere up there, on some aircraft, a crew is treating every passenger with dignity because of what happened, because of what was exposed, because of what was demanded. The businessman smiles, accepts the drink, looks out the window. Somewhere, a black businessman sits in seat 1A. A flight attendant offers him champagne. No questions, no suspicion, just service. He does not know about Tariq Terrence, about the 147, about the case that changed an industry. He only knows that he belongs here, that no one questioned his right to be here, that he is treated like any other passenger. And that is enough. That is everything. Her photograph watches over him. New case files sit on the table. New complaints, new patterns, new injustices to expose. That night, Tariq sits in his apartment. The same apartment his grandmother bought in 1973. The work continues. Tariq picks up the first file, reads the first complaint. The story sounds familiar. A passenger, a flight, an assumption, a humiliation. The fight isn't over. It is never over. He nods to himself, opens his laptop, begins to plan. But as long as there are people willing to stand up, to document, to expose, to demand better, there is hope. Remember who you are. Remember where you come from. And never let anyone make you feel small. For the 147, and for all who came before, and all who will come after, the words of a grandmother, the legacy of a family, the promise of a better world.